I think they're finally used to it at our place.
Wolverine cosplay. I'm Batman.
Thank you very much. Scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, evil Duncan sits on that railing right there and walks in there.
Yeah, we're on the tour now.
Yes, we're on our tour, walking with the rest of the group. We're going to be meeting up with Adrian here in a little bit. Let's see if I can find a landmark or something so people know where this is. There's a Cafe Paris right here. Don't know if that's going to help or not, though.
There's that big building over there. I'm sure that's something.
Excuse me. Sorry. Oh, well, here's Notre Dame right here. So
There you go.
that's a fairly significant landmark.
Slightly.
Boy, look at all that construction.
Wow.
Wow. Sure are a lot of amazing buildings around here.
Most of the time there are most
Traffic this morning isn't nearly as bad as it was yesterday. We ended up parking underground, and we're just going to leave the car there for a few days because I ain't driving in this no more. We're walking today.
Yeah, I get it.
But yeah, anybody who's seen the show knows where this is.
Notre Dame. They did that shot several times.
Oh my goodness.
Are these the stairs that Duncan walks up in season 3 when he goes to meet Deleu? Sure looks like them.
They all look the same.
Yeah, they all look the same.
But yeah, we're heading right now to the spot where the barge was moored, which is obviously a big one. I'm being told that all these staircases are the same and that this one is not it, but it sure looks like it to me. We'll see. But yeah, the water here is literally right next to it. That's why I'm kind of thinking it's probably a little bit further down, because shots of the barge always show, you know, Notre Dame kind of in the background. Anyway, we'll see.
I don't think we're there yet.
No, I don't think we are either.
So it's in Paris and it's in Notre Dame. It's got swords. What? I don't think any of us got any space at night.
Another set of stairs right here, but I don't think these are the ones either. So this is it, and you can tell by this ramp right here. This is prevalent in many episodes. You can see Amanda hanging out here in Legacy. Richie wipes out on his bike pretty much right where we're standing at the beginning of Prodigal Son, right in this area. So yeah, the barge is probably pretty much right where
Isn't Joe kidnapped,
right where this
like right
thing.
over there?
Uh-huh.
So the
Yep.
other one, on the other side of the bridge.
What is?
Where they used to park the lodge all the time. Well,
this is
Yeah.
actually it was wherever they could find
There's
the spot.
there's the tunnel right there.
Yeah, she
pretty
just said
sure-
this was where they were.
I'm pretty sure that's the tunnel where Mythos and McLeod fight.
But they didn't have a designated spot that they rented all the time. You know, they just rented what was available when the
Yep, that looks right.
and the tides.
Oh yeah, and that ramp right there is in many, many episodes as well. That's where Delaney drops off Duncan in Unholy Alliance.
No, I moved the barge, and they did. And if you go back and look, it's like, yeah, I think that was in the background of that shot, you know.
Yeah, I'm guessing it was moored here
Yeah.
for several of the episodes as well, because I know he comes out and walks right into that tunnel in a whole bunch of different episodes.
That is the Duncan Mythos tunnel.
Yep.
They always made the lighting in there look so cool,
Yeah.
with the fog and the silhouettes and all that stuff. In the daylight, it just kind of looks like a regular, boring old tunnel.
What part of France are you from? Normandy.
And this bridge also is used in many, many episodes.
Yes.
Across the tunnel, though, you know. Yeah, I know.
There's another set of stairs right there. Oh, that doesn't look like the ones that I was talking about. I still think it was the first set of stairs that we saw.
Yeah, it looks more like the one back there.
Uh-huh. From Mortal Sins. That's the episode I was thinking. Where Duncan walks down the stairs before Father Bernard talks to him.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the first set of stairs we looked at. Those are facing the wrong direction.
Well, they said that the barge also changes location depending on
Uh-huh.
you know what's available, tide, and everything like that.
Look, coming walking toward us.
Oh. Oh, you can't, it's hard to miss him. He's wearing yellow. I'm kind of sad that the boat's not here, honestly. It's like, it should be right here.
They can't find it. There were two.
Get over
There's
there.
Notre Dame right over there.
It's looking very Dutch, isn't it? There were two different ones that they used.
There's Adrian. I want to get a photograph in that tunnel. I don't care if the lighting's wrong.
Good morning. Does everybody speak English? Tout le monde parle anglais ou français? C'est mieux le français ou anglais? Entre les deux? Français seulement?
Un petit peu anglais.
Un petit peu anglais? Alors j'explique avec les deux. Bonjour. Yeah, I'll do English and French. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Si vous avez des questions, de me demander. Heureusement, nous sommes sur la quai de la Tournelle, which is, quai de la Tournelle is obviously where we had the barge, which was here. Usually the barge was here. It never went past this arch here. Always. C'était seulement ici, pas de là, parce que là, ils ont des autres péniches qui sont écoulées. People live on the other side. When we first got here, the first season, season 1, it was a surprise. I didn't know we would have a peniche here because it was not, we thought we had an apartment or something, and then we came here. And I thought we would be here every year. But, comme vous savez, est-ce que vous m'avez compris pour ce moment? But, the chose c'est que here it flooded. All of this was water. Right? Before used to have on the other side of the quay there, see where people are walking? That used to be, you'd be able to drive along there, but now you can't. They've taken it all because the water rises and actually floods this area, so we had to move the peniche to another spot. Obviously Notre Dame is being restored now, which is actually an interesting story about that, how I'm connected to it. In 2018, 2019, I did a sort experience in England. at a place called Belvoir. It doesn't. Il prononce pas ça en Belvoir. Il dit quelque chose d'autre. They're saying something else. They call it some other thing. But the trees that they had on that property, they sent to rebuild the roof.
Oh wow.
Huh.
Did you know that?
I knew that they'd taken a lot of oaks from the south of France.
Yeah, but they
I
took a
didn't
lot
know
from
any had
England.
come from
Yeah,
England.
some from England. It was the place that had the same type of oak that the roof is. So somehow I was connected twice to Notre Dame. But you know, we spent a lot of time when we used to shoot here. On avait les pénis normalement seulement pour un jour ou 2 jours peut-être, un jour, parce que le pénis c'était pas resté ici. It didn't just stay here. It would come and go, right? Everybody thought, oh, this is where it lives. No, it would come and it would go. So we would have our trucks all over this area here. Sometimes, usually further back, because if we wanted to shoot here, you couldn't have the trucks. However, when you do a movie, a lot of the time they have what they call the craft service, which is where people have food in between one scene to another. Our craft service used to be where that trash can is over there, the green one, somewhere around there, around here. It was this big. It had a baguette and the fromage. C'est tout. That's all it was. So you have the crew come out of here and they're like, okay, we've got to get something to eat. Ah, okay. You snap off a bit, grab it, and go back to work. You know. In the States, the craft service is this big, with fruit and baguette and soup and water. Alors c'est un peu différent en France, c'était à l'époque. The other thing that was very different between Vancouver and Paris was the way we shot, the way we filmed. In Paris, the film was this. In America, it was this. So the difficulty was matching the two types of film. The director of photography, vous comprenez pour ce moment ou pas un trop? Alors, je dis ça en français. En Amérique, quand on a fait le tournage en Amérique, c'était un peu différent parce que le style de film, c'était plus lent ici. Les prises, c'était comme ça, normalement. Dans les États-Unis, sur un plan comme ça, il faut coupe. C'est un peu différent. Alors, le style de photographier les scènes, il faut faire un mélange entre les deux. You have to do a mix between the two. And the director of photography, the DP, celui-là qui fait toutes les lumières, normalement c'était le même, mais pas toujours. C'était une fois, celui-là d'Amérique et celui-là de France. So the director of photography sometimes was different. So to match it, because directors of photography have different camera types, different types of lighting, so you'll see the difference. If you look, you'll see the difference in the American versions compared to the French versions. We eventually got it right. We had two directors, Paulo Basman and Dennis Berry. Dennis Berry has since passed on, as has Stan Kirsch, unfortunately, as has Michel Modot, who was, Michel Maurice. But there's kind of still here in a sense. And Dennis was the one, and Paulo were the ones who created the same look between Vancouver and France. C'était les deux, Paulo Basman et Denis Berry, c'était les deux réalisateurs qui ont fait le mélange entre les prises faites en Vancouver et celui-là qu'ils ont fait ici. Alors, après la première saison, parce que la première saison, on a fait autre chose, c'était différent, c'était un Highlander différent. Highlander, the first year, was different than the rest of it. C'était une personne seule qui l'a changé, c'était Monsieur David Abramowitz. He was responsible for changing the scripts and the type of stories that we were actually doing. And David brought in the idea, I think really the one that started changing was Band of Brothers. C'était je sais pas comment ça s'appelle en français, Band of Brothers, mais normalement c'était l'épisode 13, 14. Mais c'est là que ça a changé l'histoire un petit peu. Au final ici, the final one here, which was The Hunters, was really the definitive Highlander beginning to really form. And the fights I had 5 people I was fighting. Il y a 5 personnes que je combattais. Normalement, c'était 1 an. Mais là-bas, ça changeait un peu les cascadeurs et ça. Ils ont fait une bonne chose pour changer un peu l'esprit d'Highlander. So I haven't done this going backwards and forwards in many years. C'est bizarre, hein? But the thing is, Highlander was going to be cancelled after the first season. Après la première saison, Highlander serait annulé. Peut-être, oui. Parce que c'était it was the Italians, the Japanese, the Germans, the Americans, and I think the French, I'm not sure. C'était la coproduction entre les deux, entre les 5. And some looked at it and went, man, it's okay. They realized the money they needed to spend, they couldn't do it without having tax credits. Quand tu fais une production comme ça, il faut avoir les crédits des impôts. Ça veut dire, normalement, tu reprends 30% ou 25% de production. Alors, si on spend, how do you say spend? C'est dépenser, merci beaucoup. Tu as ton anglais, hein? If you spend $1 million, you get 250,000, 300,000 back. So the co-production was between France and the United States or Canada, because in Canada you could get the tax credits. Les impôts c'était plus fixe en Canada que dans les États-Unis. Alors comme ça, il faut faire la production à Vancouver et Paris entre les deux. Il avait aussi, comment la télévision était là le premier année. Et eux, le problème de production, et ça je vais expliquer plus tard quand on allait aux places de Concorde. When we get to the place de Concorde, I'm going to mention this, why the production was a problem, and I'll say exactly why when we get there. Because it was a union show. À la France, quand à l'union, les gens, s'ils allaient au travail ou s'ils n'allaient pas, c'est pas grave. Right? It's not, if you go to work, you don't. It doesn't matter. Alors, it was la qualité, les personnes, ils étaient un peu moches. Vraiment, la première saison, c'est un peu, you know, because, well, I can go and get that thing, I can pick this electric thing up, oh, maybe I don't, I go have a coffee. You know, it was that attitude. C'est l'attitude, c'était ça, c'était l'idée. So after the first season, Dennis Berry was a very big character, and I'll explain when we get to Place de la Concorde how and why. But he was the one that was like, ça fait chier, ça fait. He was just blah. But he was, so the second season, it wasn't a union show anymore. We got private people so that we would hire the right people to do the show. C'était le dernier saison que ça a changé parce que comme ça, il te prend les gens pour payer les prix justes. And that's when the show changed. So that's really the overview of what Highlander was, how it changed. And I spent many moons here. I remember coming down this, well actually I think, what was it, this one here, either this one or the other one, and going, oh my God, it's flooded. What do we do? And they said, don't worry, we moved the Peniche to... Now Carmel said to me the other day, oh, the Peniche was in this other place qui était un peu, c'était pas très intéressant. C'était un endroit, it wasn't really interesting, that other place. It wasn't, it's just a... But then she forgot there was one other place the Peniche was. Does anybody know where I had the Peniche one other day? You can't tell, say it now. Does anybody know where else I put the Peniche? C'était un épisode que j'ai enregistré. Hein? Réalisé, merci. Réalisé. It's one I actually directed. And the reason why is because la raison qu'ils ont bougé la Peniche, c'était parce qu'on n'avait pas le temps de faire tous les prises dans un jour. It was during Methuselah's gift, I think, where we have the Eiffel Tower in the background of the Peniche. It's the only time we did it in 6 years. And the reason was parce que when I directed, I have big ideas. So when I directed, I wanted a big stunt. We didn't have big stunts. And the head of the stunt department said to me, well, maybe we can get somebody to sponsor the stunt. Ça veut dire, quand on fait les prises, il faut payer les choses. Et quand j'ai réalisé l'épisode, j'ai dit, je veux quelque chose de grande cascade. Et lui dit, alors peut-être on peut trouver une compagnie pour sponsoriser le... Alors, on avait Hennessy. Et Hennessy, il a dit, oui, on peut faire une grande show en lumière. Ça, c'était easy. This was here this morning. C'était plein de bouteilles, all bottles and trash and everything around here. I'll wait for him to go. Patience, balance. So the reason was that stunt took half a day. That was like 1/8 the scene. C'était seulement un petit côté et on avait 9 pages de tourner cette journée. We had 9 pages to do. Alors je l'ai mis à côté de Tour Eiffel and everything. C'est pas coupé. J'ai fait le dialogue. Bon, j'ai la caméra, on a fait cette scène. Maintenant on passe. So we did one scene, it was all Steadicam. So we did, you look at that show, it's all Steadicam. There's a lot of stuff of the scenes were all very one shot. And so we could get going. Usually, to prendre une grande pièce comme ça, you've got the wide shot, après tu as le close-up, un two shot. Ça coûte du temps. That takes time. When you do that, you have to do it. It takes time. So maybe a scene would take an hour and a half, 2 hours. I had 4 hours to shoot 9 pages, which was very quick.
What would normally been? How many pages would you have shot?
Normally a day would be 9 pages.
Okay.
Or 8 pages or 6 pages, depending. Action takes longer. When we did Highlander, the Highlander film, the last one, the Source. We did, we had one time, Carmel was there actually, they had 4 pages of action. I looked at it, I said, there's no way we can shoot this in 1 day. 1 day. There's no way. Horses, motorcycles, 5 or 6 different immortals, chases through the forest. I said, there's no way. Producer said, yes we can, of course we can. I said, no we can't do it. Yes we, of course we didn't do it. So he goes up, what happened? I said, I told you we couldn't do it. I've got a solution for you, but you're going to have to listen to me. And so I directed, we had the forest, a path through a forest. This side, we lit the forest. This side, we had smaller lights to the forest. This side was the forest where they did all the big action, and I shot all the small action this side to catch it up. Ça, est-ce que vous m'avez compris ou pas? Oui ou non? Dis-moi parce que comme ça je peux. Quand on faisait Highlander, je sais pas comment ça s'appelle en français, le sauce, ouais, on n'avait pas le temps de faire 4 pages d'action dans un jour. C'était pas possible. Et je dis au producteur, c'est pas possible. Lui dit, oui, on a un cascadeur qui peut faire les scènes, pas de problème. Actuellement, on n'a pas fini la journée. Et je dis je peux te expliquer comment on peut trouver une solution. Et ça, c'était que le premier équipe, ils tournent un côté de la forêt et moi, je tournais avec un peu plus petite avec les motos et avec toutes les autres choses pour faire les autres plans. On avait un peu de la chance, mais c'était horrible. Hein? Alors, il faut de temps. It takes time to shoot these scenes. Now, what is the funny thing I just watched today was the barge leaving in season 2. Do you remember season 2? Tessa died. I just spoke to Alexander Vandernoot. I just texted her. She just spoke to her, so I'll be seeing her. I was hoping I might be able to get her here, but I didn't get her until today.
Oh.
Unfortunately. But the Peniche left, and when the Peniche left, I was like, are we going to see that Peniche again? I kind of liked it, and I thought I didn't live anywhere else in Paris. Parce que c'est 30 ans maintenant, it's 30 years. So it's very difficult to remember some things, whether we actually... I didn't remember sending the Peniche off and selling it. Got it back again. But it was very strange to see Anne in the barge. You know, Anne, elle était le deuxième amour de Duncan. C'était pas, it wasn't the same thing as Tessa. It wasn't the same. It just wasn't. There was something between Tessa and Duncan that was very special. It was you know, it was something that you can't touch. You know, you can't touch. Sometimes you have a relationship. Alexandra and I had a great time. We're friends to this day, as Stan Kirsch and I were, as Peter Wingfield and I. Peter Wingfield now is a doctor. Il est un docteur de médecin. Il est un, how do you say it? Anesthesiologist. Il fait le. Well, that feels good, yeah.
Is that a French term?
It's the universal term, that one. Lui, I'll tell you an interesting fact. Peter Wingfield was the very first person to see my youngest son. Very first, apart from my wife, of course. Because my son was in the hospital just before COVID, and my second son was there. And Peter came. I saw him at the hospital, and I said, "Come in," because he could come into the ward. We could go in there, and so he was there when he saw my son for the first time. So it was very interesting for Peter to be there with me. Anyway, the other thing is talking about Peter and Mythos. That place here, this archway here, was the first time I ever met Peter Wingfield. And Peter was sitting in the corner there like that, and I just finished the scene, and I came out of here like this, and I walked over, and he said, "Oh, the guy playing Mythos, the actor playing Mythos is here." C'est l'acteur de Mythos, il est ici. Je dis, bon, alors il faut parler un peu pour savoir qu'est-ce que pour faire. You need to know the action pieces. Okay. So Peter's sitting there, and I go up, goes, "Hi, I'm Adrian." He goes, "Hi." Like Peter, "Hi, how you doing?" I said, "No, I just wanted to talk blah 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 blah." Yes, blah 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 blah. And he looks at me, goes, and I thought, does he know what we're doing? I'm like, does he know? He'd never seen the show. He had no idea what he was getting into. Zero. So, you know, if you look at the very first, and I think the first thing we did was the sword fight. No, it wasn't the first. That was afterwards. But we did it in this archway here. Yes, I think it was the first thing we did.
He said you were wearing a blanket. I remember that and seeing in an interview with him. that you were wearing a blanket.
It was cold here. Janvier, février. It's especially on the water. We would be in the barge, et quand on fait le dialogue, normalement, il faut parler comme ça. Mais si l'air qui vient comme ça dans la barge, alors we used to have heaters inside the barge. You know, I'm taking my shirt off, Alexander's in, and where it's freezing, it's like 5 degrees. So we would have heaters, and they take the heating off. And inside the barge, dans la péniche, normalement, if you see this boat, tous les péniches, they move like this, right? But when we were doing it, it wasn't doing. But if we did the main shot like this, and a big bateau would go past, the light in the middle would start doing this. So you have to cut close. You had to then, we would have people, okay, ready, and action. And we go and get the light, and you push the light like this and go around the shot so it's still moving, so it looked like it was
consistent.
The same scene, consistent. So you have to have the consistency. T'as compris ce que je dis? Oui? Ça c'est la chose qui est bizarre. Inside the péniche, they changed it. Did you notice the barge changed the interior? Mm-hmm. It changed from season 1 to season 2, season 3. Yeah, it did. It changed. It was they changed the fireplace. They changed the direction of it. When I watched, which one was it? Deliverance today, which we'll talk about as well. It was strange to see McLeod inside the barge, tearing it apart. Je sais pas si tu te souviens ça, dans la péniche, quand McLeod, il était le mauvais McLeod, il est venu dans la péniche, il a déchiré toutes les choses. He just like broke down everything. And it was and that was an interesting McLeod. I haven't seen it since. I just saw that scene, and then I thought, oh my gosh. What's interesting about good and bad people is not much. C'est pas beaucoup la différence. C'est la même personne, mais les values, les choses qu'ils ont dans la vie, c'est Ça a changé un peu, and that's what McLeod had. I didn't even see it. Playing the bad guy is one thing, but playing somebody like this who, instead of looking, you say bonjour, you want to cut your head off. It's somebody different. C'est dans la tête. Et lui, il avait toutes les choses dans la tête. Il est la même personne, mais il a changé un peu. And so that's what in here he was fighting. Il se combattre entre lui-même, entre le mal et parce qu'ils ne savent pas qui il était. He didn't know who he was anymore. And it was, I haven't seen the show. I haven't seen many of them for 20, 30 years. Some episodes I've seen once, maybe. On my inner circle there is something called Highlander Memories. Ils sont des réflexions de moi sur chaque épisode. These are each the things that I say, and I've just done season 1. I've just finished season 1, and it's just bizarre to see some of the things that I did not remember. Right? They would, can you do that sideways because I can actually put it in? I forgot to give it to you. Actually, would you do that for me? Just while we do some of this. Yeah, just a little bit on that. So I forgot to bring the device, so I'll give it to you later. So, does anybody have any questions first before I move on to anything else? Yes.
Yeah, I hear they sold the barge at the end of season 2 because of all the filming problems that they had. What made them change their mind about that, or is that even true?
I don't know. I don't know whether they did sell the barge.
Because everyone was always complaining about how awful it was to film in there.
It was difficult. It was difficult because it was, it's this high. Dans le péniche, c'est comme ça, mais c'était froid, and it was moving. And as I said, the first year, first year you had the issue of a crew that wasn't working as well. So it's more difficult. C'est plus difficile when things aren't working. If you have a good crew and you have problems, it's easier. But if you've got problems and a crew that's not working so well, it's worse. So that was the problem we had in that first season. Season 2, at the end of season 2, I don't know what the reason was. I have no idea. But they brought it back, obviously. So it could have been too bad, Ça c'est le bruit de Paris. That's the every 20 minutes. I'm like, oh gosh, I forgot that. Can you imagine filming? Can you imagine filming? That was the problem we would have sometimes. We would have, a sound like this going by. Not as often. I don't remember it quite as often.
It's a lot in the show. It is. It actually kind of makes us feel like we're here more because we hear that all the time now.
Well, you hear that was put in. It's because c'était le bruit de Paris, alors ils ont pris le son, ils ont mis dans la scène. So you can't, because when you do a scene, you can't shoot the wide and then the close-up because the sound is different unless there's silence.
Yep.
So they would take it, if there was that sound, they would then take the sound and put it in the main, the rest of the other takes.
That's good attention to detail.
Well, that's in every production though. That's every production, even in the Sword Experience productions. I have to take sound from the outside and inlay it because that gives more depth to it. When you're here, you hear birds, police, water. There's lots of things. So when a production works, there's first of all you have the filming. When it goes to the editor, it then goes to cutting. Then it goes to sound. No, actually, sorry, it goes to sound reproduction because if we have lines they want to add, s'ils vont des textes qu'ils vont ajouter, il faut le faire nous-mêmes. Alors, moi je suis dans un écran like that, it's a screen like this. The words would come up on the screen and I would say them so I could sync my lips to what was there, but they would add things as well. Once that's finished, then they take it to the sound department. There's music, there's all the ambience, a runner, feet going by. And they have people just that do this or this. As all that is added to a film afterwards, and that's what we would do. So it's every production does that. what other episode did we do? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I
The
can't
one
remember.
where Richie, remember he made friends with that kid at the circus, and you was hiding behind. I think that, and he ended up getting shot by.
Wasn't that
Who's always getting shot?
Hudson. Not
Yeah.
Richie. No, his
Oh, the
friend.
guy. Yeah.
He gets
Pete.
between Richie, no, he's going to be okay.
You're talking about
Don't worry
Pete.
it.
Pete.
Yeah.
His name was Pete.
Oh. there you go.
See?
Yeah.
He knows more about you than you.
And,
Yeah, that happened right over there.
Yeah.
But you see these steps here? These steps here? We did a stunt. I can't remember which episode. C'était une cascade. Moi, même, parce que je fais tous les cascades. C'est toutes les cascades, sauf que cars. I would never get hit by a car, sorry. Parce que one time in Vancouver, j'ai vu mon cascadeur. I would do all the fighting, I would do some of the rolling, I'd do jump, I do all of that. But the car hit and there's things that can go wrong. And mon cascadeur à Vancouver, my stunt guy in Vancouver, had he has shin pads and pads everywhere because when you get hit, they have pads. Well, the idea is as the car comes, what a stunt performer does, they jump and roll on the hood of the car, go over the top, and then get knocked down. So they're not taking an impact, they're just getting slid off. Well, what happened was, as he came like this, he went to jump, but the front of the fender caught his pads and flipped him, and he landed, bam, on the floor like this and didn't move. And we all went. Until he went, do you want to do it again? I'm like, are you okay? Are you okay? So the stunts I wouldn't normally do, but this one here, we had some boxes like this and a rope that went up to the top. And the idea was I would kick the box and the rope would take me up.
That's in Prodigal Son.
Like that. Was it Prodigal Son?
Yeah.
Right. Problem was when you have people yanking this like this and you got your arm like that, they yanked my arm right out like this. It like ripped some of the tendons in the arm because it literally just went like that. Went, oh shoot! You know, because they're carrying 210 pounds or whatever it was, 200 pounds, yanking like this on one arm. So I should have been like this or held, but I was trying to be clever with one sword. It just didn't, you know. I think
It looked good.
But so there were problems, a couple of problems we had. But I remember doing that right there, in that spot here. We used to have our. I can't remember if they've changed. I don't think they've changed this, but I think it was over there by that. See that area, that open area. We would have the lunch, c'était le déjeuner. On a fait le déjeuner en France à l'époque aussi. Maintenant, pas trop, mais beaucoup. Tous les gens fumaient. Everybody was smoking. Mais sous la péniche, moi je dis non, tu peux pas. Parce qu'on fait le filming avec le fumé, comme ça toute la journée. Je dis non, arrête, je peux pas. Alors, toute l'équipe, ils ont commencé à faire des blagues. They were always starting to do some jokes with this, right? So when we went to the restaurant, we would have some of them with a cigarette hanging in their mouth looking at me to finish my lunch. And I would walk out and they go, au revoir, merci beaucoup. The minute I left, they were smoking in there. And so I couldn't. But one day, I'll tell you a funny thing that happened here. Stan Kirsch and I always played jokes. On fait des blagues toujours. There was always one practical joke after another. And this one day, we're in the lunch wagon, and I'm sitting here, the producer is sitting here, and Stan is sitting there. And I'm talking to the producer, and I see Stan with this little smirk, this little smile he used to have on his face. And he took the bread from the thing, and he broke it like this. And I said to the producer, I said, if Stan throws that piece of bread at me right now, I'm going to take this cream pie and I'm going to throw it at him. He goes, no, don't do that. T'as compris? So, il y avait quelque chose. Lui, il était là. Il a pris un morceau de pain parce que je savais qu'il me jeter le pain. Moi, je dis à le producteur, s'il me jette le pain, je prends la tarte ici avec la crème et je la jette à lui. Il dit no, you can't do that. The moment he said that, Stan got up and went like this. I moved, picked it up and went boom. It hit him here like this. He's in costume. He picks his up, he throws it. I thought, there is cream all over the wall. All over. I have a photo of me with cream like this, and Stan with cream. We had to go to the wardrobe and change that. This was at lunchtime. I have a lot of memories of standing here. Also, this bridge here. See this bridge? We were shooting a scene here. I don't know if you remember it. Stan comes to save the day on his motorcycle and then gets arrested, I think. He goes, and Dennis Berry was shooting. And Stan and myself went back to my apartment. I think we were in the Bastille. We were in the Bastille, I think. And we decided to... My brother was coming in. Mon frère est venu, qui était dans beaucoup d'épisodes. My brother was in quite a few episodes as an extra. And he arrived in Paris. We had like 3 hours, 4 hours between the scenes because Dennis was doing it. So we're walking back, we're talking, we're laughing, we're talking. We get to the bridge and I look down and I said, isn't that the scene you're supposed to be in down there? And he went, oh my God, yeah. And ran down here and said, I'm here. Literally got on the bike and they started filming. So it was, you know, it was a lot of funny memories I have of this. What else I have in here? I mean, you know, Michel Modos standing on the peniche. You know, he's like, no, McLeod. Oh my God, he was funny. I love Michel. It was fabulous. Are we kind of ready to?
It's 10 o'clock, so we've got 4 hours before we have to get the van.
Oh, the van, yeah, but we should be there by 12, right?
Yeah,
so we've got
yeah.
2 hours to do.
Yeah,
we should
2 hours
possibly.
just to do
We
that
should.
bit over there.
Yeah, we got the church, the park, and Shakespeare
Yes,
Company,
yes,
and the other one,
and
right?
Saint-Severin.
And San Severin,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So, does anybody have any other questions? Avez-vous des questions d'ici parce que.
We'll do a group photo, eh?
Yeah, on peut faire une photo en groupe ici. But I can't remember. There was so many stories. Oh, also one other thing. This was also, I think it was here. Do you remember the flashback when McLeod first met Tessa on the boat?
Yeah, on the boat, yeah.
Yeah, we would go up and down like this. So we would film it going up and down. I had so much fun on that because I'm on a peniche now. I'm on a boat going down Paris doing lines, and you know, with a wig on, and she had like a wig on, extra extensions with a little cap, you know. So I remember that we would go up, we would turn. You go up there and you go up the top and then turn back again. So we would just go up and down doing the scene. It was one scene, so but it was. I remember jumping on. They're like, "Do you want to do that?" I said, "Yeah." I always jumped from one thing. I never hurt myself. Well, that's not true actually. I did hurt myself. I always used to get cut here on this finger.
From sword fighting.
Oui, parce qu'avec une épée, quand il fait comme ça, ça c'est le doigt plus proche ça s'appelle le garde. La garde. It's the suba. Sur une épée, tu as quelque chose qui te protège les mains. Et ça, c'était le plus proche. Et toujours quand on perd le... Dans un... in a sword fight, les gens ont fait le practice. On fait practice, comme ça. On fait le rehearsals. Répétition, merci. C'est comme ça, c'est bon, on fait ça. Mais le moment où ça tourne, the minute it turns to this. And all of a sudden, the control is gone. So instead of doing this, it would be like this. So maybe it would be here. So when I do the sword experience, I teach you to target specifically where you're going, aim specifically at a point, because otherwise you're going to get hit, which I did. And this finger was stitched. I have stitches here. So I'll explain that one. The reason I have stitches, you know stitches, les points? So the reason is, I'll show you. So the idea, we had two weapons, like this, two weapons. He was supposed to thrust this weapon like this, I was supposed to push it that way, and he was turning this way, keep coming around, and cuts like this, right? So he does this, I miss it, but I went to do that, and that's what happened. He just turned around and went BAM! Like this, right across my face here.
Ow.
That was in, that was Byron, and I was directing it. And the reason why I missed it, and this is the difference entre les répétitions and the filming, are the lights as well, and the place. There was a light right behind it. I couldn't see him because the light was behind it, so I kind of went like this and missed. And so he hit me here. So if you look in the Byron episode, they had to go in and stitch this up with no anesthetic or anything. They just stitched it like this, and I was doing everything else like this.
There's a picture of you floating around on Facebook of that injury where you've got like the blood coming down the side of your...
I had it stitched, and so the next day I couldn't because my eyes turned black and all that. So
that begs the question: which regular co-actor was most likely to hurt you?
Stan. And I remember when we did Ahriman episode. What was that? The Ahriman, which was the finale. No, was it finale? When I killed Stan.
Archangel.
Archangel. Okay. We losing Stan as a co-actor was difficult because we'd been together for 4 or 5 years. You know, he was like a brother. We went out together. We did this, so he's a good friend. So knowing he was leaving, it was like I don't really want to do that, and I knew I was going to kill him. So we were doing rehearsals, and sure enough, I did this, and I went through the block. Stan missed it and hit me on the hand. I'm like, "Fuck! Come on, Stan!" But it was because of everything else. You know, it wasn't. You know. So anyway. So Stan, occasionally, but usually, Elizabeth was not fantastic at all. Nobody is. Il n'y a pas beaucoup de personnes qui savent jouer avec l'épée. C'est pas, il faut pratiquer. So, Peter was okay. Peter was actually got pretty good at it. He's an actor. Jim Burns obviously never did it. But Stan, I never fought Elizabeth, really. It wasn't any intention. We'll talk about Amanda later on at the Eiffel Tower, because the scene we did there was a lot of stuff going on. I'll tell you a funny story too before we leave. This is a story not many people know. Peter Wingfield and I, we worked together. We worked together for about 3 years. The makeup artist in the show when we were in Vancouver was my girlfriend for a period of time. We were beginning to separate, etc., and Peter came into the show. All of a sudden, I'm on the set and I'm feeling this weird energy. C'était une bizarre énergie entre. And she did after a little bit of time, she said, "Listen, I want to go with Peter. I like Peter." I'm like, "That's okay with me. It didn't really bother me." I was like, "Okay, fine." But I didn't tell Peter, and we made this. How can I put it? Peter was still working. We were still working, and we were going to shoot the scene. Do you remember the scene in Vancouver against the van?
Yeah.
Well, I was still acting like I was pissed at him, off camera. So that scene is charged not because of Duncan and Mythos. It's charged because of Adrian and Peter. Because the minute I came at him like this, he put me against the van because he didn't want.
I think this is the area that he walks through with Darius quite a bit. In fact, I think that might be the church right there.
Is that the church? Nuh-uh.
I think this might be the back of the church. But yeah, I think they walk through this area quite a bit in the show.
Oh, I'm looking at this part. Yeah, this part here. Yeah, this part here. I came through this way.
So you make a call to you, and then if you stood behind it, they can take photos.
From that side there, take a photo.
If you go on that side, they can take photos.
So this was the tree in Deliverance. This is the tree in Deliverance I kind of walked through, which doesn't look like this anymore. It's so very different, this area. I don't even recognise it, I swear.
No.
We used to have a little park in here, and gosh, we would come through that gate, which I think was there at the time. But obviously this is the church, which Darius' church, which we talk a lot about there, but that's kind of interesting. But I remember going through that tree, looking at it. I saw it this morning actually, because I was catching up on a couple of the episodes just to see what was going on. Can you hear me? You can hear me. You can hear me. Yeah, there's nothing. We shot a couple of scenes in this park. That's why it's very different. We shot a couple of walk and talks. We would use this because it's so close to the Peniche. We would shoot there and then come here because it's pretty close to move the vans from one to the next. sometimes they would leave them there and just take what they needed and bring one small van here. And so, because you'll see in the back here, it's very small. It's not, as you probably know, Paris is not in these streets here is very narrow, so you can't park anything. Les voitures c'est très, on dit,
Old streets. Yeah, it's a very old street from medieval times.
Ouais, c'est très, comment on dit, petit,
Étoile.
étoile,
Narrow.
étoile.
Étroite.
Merci beaucoup. I forget my French, you know, it's phrases. The first year I came here, I used to speak French, I thought. And I would speak to the makeup people and I would say, you know, when we go to television, you know, or we go and get the food, and I thought, oh, I'm really speaking good French now, people understand me, it's good French. Until I got on the telephone. Because then you don't have any hands. T'as pas les mains pour expliquer les choses. So I realized, I was like, okay, but the next year I came back, I spoke better French. Because your brain assimilates things when it rests. It's the same as when we used to run lines. When you would learn lines, you wouldn't learn them, keep learning, your brain can't assimilate. Same as a sword experience. I have 2-day sword experiences now because we train 4 hours one day, 2 or 3 hours one day, then you go away and the next day you remember it better. Sometimes I can't do that because I only have the location for one spot, but you remember. So if I had a lot of dialogue, I would learn it, leave it for 20 minutes, then go back and learn it again and leave it for 20 minutes. Or the best thing to do is before going to bed at night, you would run the lines, learn them, and then go to sleep. And in the morning, your brain has begun to understand. Bien compris, je peux expliquer une autre fois. C'est quand tu dors, c'est pour apprendre les choses. Et c'est mieux de faire les choses, d'apprendre les choses, les lignes de texte, par exemple, le soir avant de dormir. Parce que comme ça, ta tête, c'est comme une éponge. So that's how by year 5 I spoke less French. So should we go in?
So this is the oldest tree in Paris. Actually, you can see that on the wall. Taped together, basically.
The oldest tree in Paris. Wow.
I think people would, you know, particularly Highlander fans would all, as did I, go in there and, you know, put your hands across it. So, but you can tell looking at it, it's
C'est vieux, hein? C'est
400 years old.
It's as old as Duncan MacLeod.
not quite, actually.
Got Notre Dame right there. Great view of Notre Dame. And this whole area in here was walking and talking with Darius, Grace, Xavier St. Cloud, whole shebang right here.
Steve, I can't get you.